Welcome to The Kid is in School, where we talk about whatever we want since our kid is not here to interrupt us. But we don't have a lot of time before the bell rings, so let's get right into it. I was on the subway and I smelled strawberry lip balm. I wasn't wearing strawberry lip balm, and I couldn't figure out where the smell was coming from. But the significance of this is it immediately sent me back to a lip balm I had when I was a kid. It was a strawberry shortcake, tinted lipstick. I felt very grown up when I wore it. And I've smelled artificial strawberries through the years. But this one was different. This was exactly the same scent.
Very specific.
And we call that a sensory memory.
Okay, a sensory memory. So like something that makes you think of some moment in your life based on some scent you're smelling now. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
It takes you back to a time before. And I think it's more fun when you haven't even thought of that thing in years. Like, I don't even know the name of the cologne or the fragrance, but every now and then someone will walk by me and smell like my librarian from grade school.
Okay, I guess I've had some things like that. Usually it's something where I'm like, whoa, this smells like I'm in a nursing home again. Like, because as
So
a
you're
child,
talking about urine, the smell of pee?
it's like I'm back in the football stadium when I was a kid. It's a trough of urinals, and it's a urinal cake.
Yeah, negative sensory memory.
There's
counts.
those, yeah. Because my dad, being a preacher, he took me to do some of his calls at nursing homes where he would go visit some of the elderly people in the congregation, and so that smell would hit, like just the sometimes just old people's homes. So it'd be like, this smells like old people, and I think everybody knows what an old person smells like.
I do know what it smells like, but I don't know why. I haven't figured out why old people smell the way they smell. Someone used to say it was mothballs. They keep mothballs in their closet.
I've never seen an actual mothball be used anywhere. I've heard of mothballs. Maybe it's generational. Like, so there's certain, stylistically, people look of their generation. So like when you think that somebody looks old, it tends to be because they dress like what you envision old people look like, because they dress, if you're talking about like World War II generation, they wear a suit and a tie and a hat, and you think that's what an old person looks like. And I wonder if that's the same with scents. Like maybe the old people I was smelling were the World War II Korea War veterans that I was smelling, and they just that generation smelled like that even when they were young.
I think to kids that grew up in the 70s and 80s, old people smell like cigarettes.
Yeah.
Every time I smell cigarette smoke, I think about bowling alleys from the 80s and how it used to be allowed.
It used to be there, and restaurants and all of that. And so I wonder if we will smell like old people to future generations.
Definitely.
But we'll smell of some sort of like the strawberry shortcake lip balm.
Curve perfume.
Yeah, Axe body spray.
Axe body spray.
Oh, I went to the nursing home, and you just knew it was old people because I could smell the Axe body spray.
And what else do we wear? Victoria's Secret body lotion.
Yeah, everybody smells like a vanilla bean at a nursing home.
There's nothing more ancient than country apple lotion.
Yeah.
We still have a little bit of a cough left, so we're gonna be laughing like old people.
Like that. I'm leaving this in just because it sounds like smoker cough.
It does.
And that's what old people used to sound like when they would talk. And that's another thing about not having cigarettes around anymore, is that there was smoker laughs, smoker coughs, there was smoker talk.
Yeah, the voice.
Yeah. Like your grandmother always kind of sounded like this.
My grandmother did not sound like this.
Well, your grandmother didn't smoke, right?
No, she did not. But I heard many women who did sound like this.
Yes, everyone sounded like Lucille Ball did in 1982.
Or Harvey Firestein in Mrs. Doubtfire.
Or any movie he's ever done. Like, I like that you picked one.
I picked a movie I thought people might remember him from.
Yeah, Independence Day.
Is he in that?
I believe so. I don't know why. It doesn't strike me as... First of all, I don't know why he's in any movie. Like, it's not like I dislike him or anything, but it's not something where he makes me think of a specific character or a certain role that you think, oh, that's Harvey Firestein.
No, I feel like he's just himself, honestly.
Yeah.
Like he plays himself in a lot of roles. And he's big on Broadway, and I think he was in Hairspray, the revival of it. So.
I have no idea. That's the thing. He's just one of those guys that was in things.
He was.
And I don't know where he came from and where he went.
He's listening right now,
He
and
might
he
be.
wants you to know he's a national treasure and very beloved.
Well, I'm not, like I said, I don't dislike him. It's just more of like, I don't know his history. You know, when it comes to comics and comedians, I know history with them. So Richard Pryor showing up in The Toy, it's like I know what his previous history is before that.
Oh.
It's not just like, hey, he's in a movie and
I
then
definitely
he's gone.
knew him from The Toy first.
Well, I think
now
that's
that you mentioned that.
Well, I knew him in The Toy first for sure, but like because Richard Pryor is definitely before our generation. He would be considered like the greatest comic. Like even Eddie Murphy is prior to our generation. Mm-hmm. Like by the time we're old enough to be having the discussions of like who's the greatest comic, we're talking. You know,
once again, we are ambiguous about our age.
Yes,
but Luke's getting close. He's
Yeah.
approaching.
We're talking about Bo Burnham by the time we're old enough.
Getting uncomfortable. No, I hear you. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
Go
but
ahead.
like Seinfeld would have been at the peak of his show before we would be actually looking into like who's the comedian of the day, you know, and Larry the Cable Guy and other blue collar guys.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Bernie
though.
Mac,
I
you
mean,
know.
well, look, I had HBO, or we did. We definitely had HBO, so we got to see movies. We talked about this like a decade later than they were in theaters. So I did know a lot of his earlier stuff.
Richard Pryor.
Yeah, before The Toy, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, earlier stuff. Look, I'm talking about like Blazing. Well, he wasn't in Blazing Saddles. He was supposed to be in
He was
Blazing
supposed
Saddles.
to be in Blazing Saddles. He kind of co-wrote that with
Jeez,
Mel
Mandela
Brooks.
effect. And I am way far away from my point. But maybe we'll get back to there one day. So anyway, I don't know. I feel like my point is here, I have a general understanding of people's career. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because, you know, they were like Whoopi Goldberg. I had seen her on Broadway. That got televised. But it was years after she had done that Broadway special. And Jumpin' Jack Flash. Like by the time I'm like, she's in Sister Act for my generation. But yet I knew all her 80s movies when she had dreads. You know what I mean?
I didn't though. Like, and I'm slightly older than you, but I think that the fact that you had HBO and you're seeing these things is the way that you were connected. I think you were just seeing things at an earlier age than you were supposed to.
Yeah, HBO turned me into a 30-year-old.
Yes. Only people from this generation are going to know.
Better know
the greatest generation, as I like to say.
We should be called the second greatest generation.
How about the even greater generation?
That's nice. Yeah, even greater generation. Yeah, so you know, when you said Independence Day, I confuse it with Mars Attacks because it has a lot of stars in it, but Independence Day is a serious blockbuster film, and Mars Attacks is some kind of send-up or some kind of jokey movie.
It is kind of interesting that you confuse those two because Independence Day I think it was a big blockbuster movie, but it's really Will Smith's breakout role as a movie star.
Right.
There's like Bill Pullman and Bill Paxton are both
Are
in
they
that,
both? Oh, that's
that.
lucky.
I believe one's the president, one's a pilot, right?
Oh, great. Well, you don't have to lose at trivia night for that one.
I'm not 100% sure that I'm correct about that. But
okay,
I know
Pullman's definitely in it.
he is definitely in it, but I feel like Bill Paxton's in it as well. But maybe I'm wrong. It's been 20 some years since I've seen this movie.
They both have aliens.
They both have aliens, but it was a mega hit.
Yeah.
And Mars Attacks was supposed to be a big movie because it had all these stars.
Had so many
and
stars.
I'm pretty sure it flopped hard.
Yeah, maybe so.
I
But
think people were
anyway.
like, this is terrible. Nobody liked it, and it wasn't for anybody. You know, some movies are supposed to be for kids, and some are for adults. Sometimes there's movies that are for kids, but they have some stuff for the adults in it. I
Yeah.
feel like Mars Attacks was like, kids hated it, and adults hated it, and that's where they got together, was not liking it.
Well, it was going to prompt a question that I thought was clever, but now that I have answered it in my own head, it's not that clever. My question was going to be, in movies like Mars Attacks or Independence Day, where they are a star-studded cast, what do you think is the movie with the most overlap? You know how you're playing movie trivia, and you're like thinking, oh, well, Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan were in Joe versus the Volcano and Sleepless in Seattle together, and one more that I can't remember. You've Got Mail. You know what I mean? So anyway, I thought, well, can you think of another movie that has that many stars and you know, that have shared the film twice, and then the answer is like sequels. You know what I mean? It's not that clever because it's just like, oh, what if we remade
all three Expendable movies? Where it's got
I knew you could.
every single action star from
There
ever.
it is.
You know.
Yeah. So anyway, so much for my genius question. And I can't even stump you.
No, it was
You
it
had
was
a
an
better
amazing
punch
question.
than I did.
And it's a genius question that you asked a genius from the greatest generation.
Welcome back to Genius Talk.
Yeah.
With two members of the even greater generation.
Yes. Yeah. So like, that's the thing. Is like, some of those movies, those bring me back probably more than scents, like smells. Like I think that sometimes just turning on like that HBO theme that you were playing, it's like, oh, that made me think, or the MGM, or there's Orion films
that I always called Orion as a kid, like Oreo cookies, but Orion.
That's Orion. So.
Orion, yeah, it's a constellation. I should have known.
I'm
losing my genius status, aren't I?
I picture you correcting adults with it. Hey, Orion Pictures, it's Orion.
That sounds like our kid. Actually, it's this. She just wants to contribute to the world.
Yeah, she has started doing a couple of those things where she corrects me and I know she's wrong.
Right.
And I'm like,
and there's no arguing with her.
Yeah, that's
I'm
fine.
like, oh, you don't say. Well, thanks for the info.
Yeah, you're not even 5 yet, so fine. You could be wrong.
It's like when her alarm clock plays da 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 da, and she goes, "What's that song called?" And I said, "That is Ode to Joy." And I'm patting myself on the back, and she goes, "No, actually, it's called Morning of Your Life."
Yeah, Morning of Your Life. Well, I remember as a kid, I'm pretty sure this was second grade. A friend of mine, Danny, for whatever reason, he was like a troublemaker, but not overtly to adults. So, what's that kid in Leave It to Beaver that was always causing trouble?
Wally's the brother.
Yeah, Eddie Haskell.
Why do we know that?
Because we're from the even greater generation.
We were born in 1932.
Yeah, I think we know that because our parents were older. At least your dad was older. My dad, is now 85. So I knew about those old shows, and also Nick at Night. Nick at Night was there. So, but Eddie Haskell was to all of the adults was really polite, and to all the kids, he was the troublemaker behind the scenes. Well, Danny was like that in second grade, and he came over to our house for dinner one night, and my mom was taking a drink of water or something like that, and coughed. And my dad said, "Oh, did it go round the wrong tube?
Down the wrong pipe?"
Yeah, down the wrong pipe, down the wrong tube. And Danny goes, actually, there isn't a wrong pipe, because there's a water pipe and a food pipe, like a liquid pipe and a food pipe.
And water always knows to go down the water pipe.
and they both go to the stomach, is what he said. And I was so humiliated and embarrassed for my parents, because I thought he was right.
Oh dear!
I know.
I
was
got
like,
shamed.
I know. I was like, oh man, I don't know how my parents didn't know that. And my dad, I just remember him going, "Oh, is that so? Oh, okay. I did not know that." Right.
Thanks for the info,
Yes.
Mr. Wizard.
I know. And so somehow, as a second grader, which is 7 years old or something like that, he got the trachea and esophagus confused and did not realize that there was an air tube and a food and liquid tube.
Right. Your dad he wasn't there with the ahas going, "And what about the windpipe,
Yes.
Sonny?" He didn't bother with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you talk about your dad's current age? I was thinking about this. What if you just said the age he was when you were born? Don't you think that would impress upon people that you have an old parent?
Not necessarily. Well, I guess it could. Like
My dad was 50 when I was born. How old was your dad?
yours was older when you were born. My dad was 42 and maybe almost 43. I guess 42 and a half when I was born.
So that's pretty old.
Yeah, well, considering he had a child that was 18 at the time.
Yeah, right. Your
and-
brother didn't have an old dad. You had an old dad.
Yeah, well, my brother was 17. So, my dad would have had an 18-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 14-year-old when I was born already. So he was they probably thought they were done. Mm-hmm. They had 3 kids.
Surprise.
Right. And so the special gift from God. Look for my special entitled that. Mm-hmm. The 14-year-old, they was probably at 14 you're going into high school.
Right.
So they're probably thinking, hey, we're almost done. Like these kids are ready to graduate.
Right.
Because I think at 18, my sister would have been, maybe she had just graduated from high school or was senior in high school. My brother was either a senior or a junior. And then I believe that my other sister would have been a freshman. So they were all like grouped together, high school. You think,
Yeah, just
man,
about to
moving
leave
on.
the nest.
And then to think, wow, to start over then at that age and go, I'm going to spend the next 18 years getting right back to the point that I currently am.
Oh my gosh, I would just go, no.
Maybe they did.
You'll never know.
I know.
They doted on you like an only child. Yeah, that's the funny thing. You have many siblings, but since you grew up with them out of the house mostly, it was like you were an only child.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a sister that was just a year older than me. You would think it was almost like we were twins. We were dressed a lot alike. But in reality, I felt like I had two moms. I leaned into that baby role. I was like, everybody carry me.
I can't imagine having a sibling a year and a half older than me.
Just sitting on your head with a pillow.
I don't know what that's like. The closest thing is I have a niece that's 4 years younger than me. So we're kind of like what I think cousins are to people. And so, but I was older than her, so I was probably like the big brother.
Yeah, but you were the uncle. And I believe you didn't like that title, did you?
No, not when she was born, because I was 4 when she was born. So the age of our daughter now, and going, and because everybody thought it was so cute.
Yeah,
Thought,
it is.
oh,
It's
look
adorable.
Look at Uncle Luke. He's, saying this to a 4-year-old.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not an uncle.
I did say that. I'm not an uncle. Don't call me
I
that.
don't smell like Old Spice.
I know.
I'm a comb over.
Yeah. Yeah. And
All
so,
the uncle trappings of the 1980s.
all the old uncle things. And so, and because all I knew was my uncle, Maurice, was my mom's brother. Mm-hmm. And he seemed to be 100 years old, but he was a very kind man, but he was also a little hefty.
Yeah.
And was always trying to be extra jovial and playful and in a way that was like, I'm going to sit on you.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to sit on you and, get me. I would be laughing and to the point my sides hurt, but then I would be like freaking out because my sides hurt. I'm like, stop doing that. Stop doing it. Mom, make him stop.
He's too much. That's such an uncle.
Yeah. So that's the only thing I know about uncles was that era.
When you hear that song by Steve Whatshisname and it's like, some people call me Maurice. Woo, woo. Do you think about your uncle?
Well, first of all, I can't get past the Steve Whatshisname.
Is it Steve Winwood?
It's not Steve Winwood. I think it's the Steve Miller Band.
Thank you.
But I was like, where are we going to go? Which Steve are we going to go with? Because
Maurice. Wee, woo. Do you ever think about your uncle?
No, but I just had a sensory memory with that song to being on the bus in school and hearing one of the retro stations on the bus, because there's only so many stations they were, I guess, allowed to play on the bus, because it couldn't be the for whatever reason it couldn't be the alternative rock, or it couldn't be
why
the
on
rap
earth not? My bus played all this stuff.
Well, probably, I don't know. I'm sure that some parent complained or something like that. So for some reason, it always had to be like the 60s, 70s, and 80s station or whatever. So that played on there. And I'm sure some other
On Top
Steve
of the
what's his
World
names.
by some other Steve What's. I was going to joke and say On Top of the World by the Carpenters was playing.
That probably was playing at some point. I remember in junior high or high school seeing the Karen Carpenter story and thinking, this is so old. This happened so long ago. And then wanting to try to connect with us as 13-year-olds or whatever. I was like, this is so old and ancient.
You were closer to Karen Carpenter's death back then than we are today of the debut of Full House.
Yeah.
Just to give you some perspective.
Thank you. Usually I'm the one giving you perspective, and it makes no sense to you, but you're right. You actually put a lot of things in perspective for me just now. The Karen Carpenter story was probably like filmed 5 years before I saw it.
I don't even know if I'm correct, but it makes sense. It sounds true. Gosh, I wanted to say something. I can't remember it. If it comes back, I'm sure.
It'll come back, I'm sure.
Steve. Oh, I know what it was. In the 90s when I was learning to drive, or was I? You'll never know. So I remember driving in my little Honda Prelude that was red and it had flip-up headlights that were super cool. The radio station would play music from the 80s, 90s, and today. And the year was 1999. I was like, we're still in the 90s.
Yeah.
So they meant like the millennium or whatever.
Yeah, I remember here in the 80s, 90s, and today, and
It was confusing.
I guess they mean the entire decade leading up to 1999 and whatever's playing literally on this day in history.
And today, right now, which is a cut from Steve Miller Band. So
It's probably a Limp Bizkit was what was actually playing today.
He did it all for the.
You can't even get that one out. Did something go down the wrong type? Did it go down the liquid pipe or the food pipe?
Yeah, the cough wants to come up, the windpipe and the food pipe. I want to tell you something about Limp Bizkit. He did it all for the nookie.
Oh, did he?
You're right, I can't say it without laughing.
Yeah. I don't know how he said it without
How
laughing.
did he say it so many times?
That's the thing, looking back on, first of all, any generation. So even like today,
Yeah.
I don't know how people say so earnestly and straight face some of the dumb things that they say. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, that's what people in their late teens and early 20s do.
Right.
They say things that they think are very deep and interesting, like I did it all for the nookie. And it's completely dumb. It's vapid, and they are vapid.
Even if it was supposed to be funny, I don't quite. It wasn't a trending phrase.
I don't even think it was supposed to be funny. I genuinely think that he thought that was poignant statement, is that he was everything he did in his life was for nookie. I'm not actually sure if nookie's a body part or it's an act.
Nookie. It's got an article.
The nookie, like, is the nookie, some female body part, or is it just the act of doing something with a woman?
That's a great point. I always thought it meant making out. He did it all to make out with one lady.
Wow. That's the very PG version of that, isn't it? That was on the Disney station.
He was getting some nookie.
Yeah, I thought it was when you got somebody in a headlock
and that's
you rubbed them with
noogie.
Oh, that's the noogie.
And I thought it was a cookie made of fruit and cake.
That's a Newton.
There was a song lyric I was singing, and I thought, why did I think this was so deep? And it was, I think it's Welcome to, The Tragic Kingdom by No Doubt.
Okay.
The album, there is a titular song. Do you know the word titular?
Is that like nookie? Is that the other female body part? There's the nookie and the titular.
That's right. It goes, welcome to the tragic kingdom. Cornfields of popcorn have yet to spring open.
That's horrendous.
Isn't it so dumb?
That's the thing. Some lyrics, if you just say them too, it's like, oh boy, that's not good.
How will I explain this to the younger generations?
I mean,
What
it's
we found
not
deep.
B-A-N-N-A-N-S.
B-A-N-A-N.
B-A-N-N-A-N-S.
That was just to help kids spell.
I know. I just kind of blur it all together.
It didn't work for you, did it?
B-A-N-N-N-S.
B-A-N-A-N-A.
I think mine is, if I went slow, it would be, I think the way I spelled it was like B-A-N-N-N-N-N-A-S. Bananas.
Well, it's kind of like when you're writing the word crisps. You never know when to stop the S and the P and the S. I don't even know when to stop saying. I'm like crisps. You know what I mean? It could go on forever.
I don't, because I don't think I've ever written the word crisps, nor have I ever needed to say it. I'm not British.
You need more British friends.
Yes, they're potato chips, not crisps. Crisps. Is there an S before? Like, it does feel like there's an S before the P and after the P.
It's an SPS. You know what I did recently? I was very proud of myself. I revitalized our daughter's attachment toy.
Okay, now you have to explain attachment toy to most people, especially any men that are listening to this.
I will not have to explain attachment toy. You know the word attachment and you know the word toy.
It's you have a toy that is attached to your body.
Yeah. Did you have a whoopee growing up? Did you have a blankie?
I did not. I had a pillow.
Aww.
I had a pillow that I was very attached to.
Was it called pillow?
I think it was called Pilly or something like something dumb.
Nah, my blanket was called Blang Blang.
Yeah.
And our daughter's has a rabbit called Bunny Foo Foo, which I think it's so perfect that the initials are BFF because it's truly her BFF. Mm-hmm. But I guess I did surgery on her to remove all of her stuffing. This is something I had to look up online. How do you really make it fresh? I wanted to revitalize it for Christmas. And they said you have to take all the stuffing out, then wash it, then restuff it. So I had already restuffed it before, but I had never taken the early stuffing out.
So it had old stuffing.
It did. It was all curdled.
Old stuffing.
It was. Yeah, it had my old stuffing and then the original stuffing, which was like knots and boogers. It was just cotton
Newspaper
boogers.
clippings from 1945.
Exactly. And it never ended. And so not only that, but when I washed her and then I restuffed her and then I sewed her back up, instead of hot glue this time, because as you'll recall, I hot glued that first time I stuffed her.
Yes.
And she had this horrible thick scar, like she'd been in a fight.
She was a pit fighter back in the late 90s.
She was rough. So
listening to Limp Bizkit.
And she didn't even get paid in Nookie. She just had to do it. So I cut the glue off and then I re-sewed her. And then I discovered a slicker brush. For those who don't know, that is have you seen Hellraiser? You know the character Pinhead? That is the Pinhead of dog brushes.
Okay.
If you scrape at something that has artificial sheepskin or even a stuffed animal fur, you're going to get it fluffy and nice. I mean, am I boring you to tears? Because I was fascinated by this. First of all, I was trying every brush I owned. I tried a detangling brush because I am a curly girl. And I tried one of your little combs, you know, that you use for your barber. Luke has fallen asleep, ladies and gentlemen.
Look, I'm not saying this is boring, but we did lose 75% of our audience on this.
But we're gaining the comb enthusiasts. So what
His
happens,
name is Tom. That's the comb enthusiast
Thanks
out there.
for tuning in, Tom. So if you
Which is funny because he's bald.
Will you let me paint this picture?
I thought it was painted. How much more paint?
We
do
interrupt
need?
Abby's story for jokes.
I feel like we're repainting the same painting. It's like those layers of Van Gogh paintings.
Picture, if you will, a comb riding along the tummy of an animal, but you can't get it up towards you because of the matted fur, right? There's knots. And so I was like, there's got to be a better way. Hello, sharks. Introducing tools that already exist.
I know. I definitely thought this was like infomercial. There's got to be a better way. Well, what way is that? Screen turns black and white as you try to comb through the bunny fur.
And I'm angry about it. And I look at the camera and shake my head. So anyway, this is the life hack that I want to share with you. Take your pet slicker brush, the really pointy one that hurts, and use it on your throw blanket. Use it on your moccasins. No, not moccasins. That's the wrong word. But your slippers, you know. Everything is made with faux fur. Have you noticed that?
I hadn't noticed that.
We have a hat. We have the inside of her coat. I'm revitalizing left and right, folks.
I am literally looking around our living room, and I don't see a single thing of fur anywhere.
You make me feel like a conspiracy theorist. It's like walking away from all the red string on the wall, shaking my hand.
It's all fur. It's all fake fur.
The fur is everything. It's everywhere. It always has been. So you had a pillow. That's so precious. I told my daughter. I always love it when I call her my daughter.
I feel like you kind of do that with a lot of things. My daughter, my home. You don't ever say my husband, though. You say the husband.
Their husband, the husband. Yeah, but when I say my daughter, doesn't that make you wonder?
I didn't until now.
Okay. Anyway, our lovely, precious child, 50% of which I made, 50% of which you made. So I told her about my attachment toy, Bling Bling, and she was like, do you still have it? And I'm like, do I still have it? I think it's in storage. And she said, well, pull it out. And then it wasn't in storage. It was literally in her closet. Like, I keep it that close at hand, you know. I was hoping for this day, apparently. And she goes, I'd like to try to sleep with your blanket tonight. And I was like, you're welcome to it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, no, absolutely not. It's mine.
Well, yeah, I tried this already with Heart to Heart Bear. That's a bear that has an actual plastic heart inside that if you press it, it ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. It's really amazing to me. She couldn't stand it. She was like, I don't care about this thing. I don't want it in my bed. Get it out. For a while, she made us sleep with it in our room. She didn't want to look at it. It's not even that tattered.
It's scary looking to her. You think it's so lovely and
yeah.
it's worn and just full of love, and she just sees this bear missing an eye. And it looks like it's going to get her in the middle of the night. He's been through a couple wars. He has a cigarette.
I've already told her it's
burn on him.
alive. She's like, I don't want that live bear near me. Yeah, so I was really moved when she wanted to sleep with my blanket, and she was like, maybe I can use it. And I was like, okay, well, this is the special part. There's a little silk border, and I was like, this is the silky. That's what we call it. And you put it in between your fingers, and you rub it. And I couldn't even. I was like, I don't know. I used to do something with my hands. I used to rub the silky. And she's like, I got it. Just
thanks. And
walk
she just
away.
stuffs it in the corner of her bed, and thanks. That's a good one.
So I guess I'm still attached to this attachment toy. But she found it pretty amusing that I took it with me everywhere. She was like, you had a blanket? You're a grown-up. And I'm like, yeah, when I was little.
Yeah, other than my pillow, I took that with me. I just remember taking it to my grandma's house and trying to protect myself from Uncle Maurice with the pillow.
Don't sit on me.
Don't sit on me. But I have like a stuffed dinosaur that I gave her that I probably got on Valentine's Day from my parents.
Is that where that came from?
Yeah, somewhere around the age of 7, maybe.
It's purple, so I thought it was a Barney knockoff.
No, it's pre-Barney.
Pre-Barney, wow.
Barney was, yeah. I think Barney, I remember my nieces and nephews liking him, and I was watching them. So I would be like a junior high with a Barney knockoff if that was the case.
Now, someone's probably discussed this before, but the lyrics to Barney is, Barney is a dinosaur from our imagination.
I never thought about that because again, not my generation.
When he's tall, he's what we call not my generation. No. So I was going to ask you, is he a figment? Is he, anytime we see Barney, is it just their hallucination? Or is he like Frosty the Snowman and they're saying they brought him to life by loving him? You don't care.
I don't know. I don't have enough information to actually make a informed opinion on whether Barney was a fever dream or whether or not he was real.
This is how you and I differ, because I will have very little to no information and form a full-on opinion on something.
Yeah, and hold it against people too.
That's right.
People being the husband.
You should know better. Like now, I don't know why you can't just form a fully formed opinion on Barney, even though you have zero interest and no experience with him.
That and the Teletubbies were like, they were way for younger kids.
They were. We were babysitting kids by the time, although we were very young to be babysitting.
Well, yes, I know it's weird to be babysitting children your own age.
Why did I lump you in on that? I babysat kids that watched those programs. I don't know if you had to.
Well, I had my nieces and nephews. That's who I babysat because, again, my siblings being much older than me,
yeah.
I had all these nieces and nephews that, by the time, I wasn't watching someone when I was 4.
I know.
But I was watching the later ones that came along. So when I was in my teens, I watched those kids.
Speaking of, there was a young lady that lived down my block who is a family friend. I've loved her since she was a baby. But I babysat her when I was like a preteen to teenage years. And then just recently was reminded that she's only 4 years younger than me. Talk about babysitting when you're 4.
Yeah, well,
I think of her as a baby, and she's like, I'm a grown-up.
I guess if you're 14 when you start babysitting, you could be babysitting a 10-year-old.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's weird, though, when, have you noticed that the kids you babysat now are older than you? I think you have noticed that.
They're older than me?
Yeah, because they age past you. They've got homes and old grown kids, and you're just this young, shiny thing.
Yeah, I'm Hollywood 29, which
right.
is great. You never age once you hit 29 in Hollywood. So, yeah.
I keep staying the same age. What's that dumb Matthew McConaughey quote? They keep getting older.
I think.
All right.
I think that is completely wrong. That's and unlike my dad, I'm not going to be like, "Whoa, is that so? Is that what the quote was?" I'm going to be like, "That's wrong.
It seems incorrect."
I keep getting older, and they keep staying the same age.
That's what he likes about staying back in high school.
Yes, he does about
hilarious.
Being a perv.
Well, when you're a cougar, or what do you call the young men that date older women?
Oh, the young men? Like, what do you call the men?
When a guy likes a cougar, that's their quote.
I don't know. Is there
I stay the same age and they keep getting older. Okay.
Yeah. Do those guys have a name? Desperate?
What do cougars eat for lunch? Maybe they're called...
Gazelles?
They're called gazelles. Or boy toys,
Yeah, I don't know. Do cougars... First of all, how big is a cougar? Like, the actual animal?
I know. I'm picturing a mountain lion, not a panther.
I know. I think I was picturing a cheetah.
Oh, that's big. Maybe it is about cheetah size.
But that's, I think, where I brought in gazelle.
Yeah,
but, like...
that makes sense.
If a cougar maybe is much more like a mountain lion, so maybe a cougar is, like, eating...
I can't...
So these guys are like beavers, except that's a weird one to choose, but, like...
I can't picture a mountain lion without picturing a saber-toothed tiger. Sorry, you had a better joke and I just talked over it.
Wait, look, guys, take which joke you want out of that last 30 seconds. That's
Anyway, once again, we are failing the community at science and horticulture. No, What is it? It's not agriculture when it's animals.
It's not agriculture. It's not horticulture. It's you mean when just animal science?
Yes.
Come
on, we go to a state fair every year in Indiana.
Turn on Animal Planet. Yeah, that's what they teach you at state fair. That's what everybody learns at the state fair. The only thing you learn is like where the elephant ear tent is.
Yeah, really. The only animals I'm interested in is that elephant ear.
Yeah, and that cougar over there.
Rare. Okay, it's wintertime. We have to exercise. It's official.
I don't. I don't like cold weather exercise because it's just tough to get out of the house. Like that's the thing. I just don't like going outside. That's why my gym is 2 blocks away from me, and I can go there. It's no big deal. But if I had to travel,
you can wave to them from
3
your house.
blocks.
Like,
I know.
hey guys, I'm not coming in today. They're like, try again next
I can
week.
go to the gym like that, but I'm not doing. First of all, I hate running in general, so I'm not running.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I was walking our dogs in the dead cold, and it was so chilly, I jogged to get home quicker.
Wow.
I did a little trot, and I thought, I could do this. I could jog again. But the truth is, I think the only real way I could jog regularly is if I was being chased. You know what I mean? Like, I have to have a real motivation to...
That's not...
I have to be afraid for my life.
I don't know if that's so much jogging as it is fleeing.
Yeah, I have to flee the scene.
Yeah.
To get my heart rate up, you know what I mean? Because if you leave it up to me and I'm just trotting along, I will slow down to a walk.
Yeah, I hate running. I hate jogging. There's those people that just love it. Oh, I just love running.
They've done it enough that they get a little high. I've never done it enough to get the high. The runner's high. It's the same thing.
No, they need to learn the sitting on a couch high. Just how enjoyable it is to just not move.
Get a little dopamine from my Candy Crush.
Yeah, I think just even the fact that you'd have to be chased. It's like for me, like the type of running exercises, there has to be some sort of competition or something in it, and so
you're fueled
basketball
internally.
is how I get mine.
I thought you were going to say a dangling carrot. Like I have to be running to a Dunkin' Donuts or something.
No, there can't be. There has to be something. Like the ego has to be involved.
And I think if you're gonna chase me, catch me, go ahead and kill me, because I just put me out of my misery. I don't want to deal with that.
Just put her down.
Put me down.
I'd rather be caught and dead than run anymore.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a Peloton style program I could start, but if I were to pitch to the Shark Tank, it would be something along those lines.
It would just be sharks. This is my invention. They go, that's a man on a mask. I know.
Yeah. And then he starts chasing Kevin, and Kevin gets up out of his chair.
See how effective that was?
He brandishes a knife.
Yeah. See, Kevin, you wanted to move, didn't you? You didn't want to sit in that chair anymore. You wanted to get up and move.
Mr. Wonderful. More like Mr. Runderful.
Oh.
Hey-o.
That's punderful.
It is. Thank you. I have a lot of Shark Tank pitches I would like to bring on the show just to go through the emotions of the whole pitch. I feel like I perfected every part down except coming up with a product.
Yeah. Just the pitch side.
I know how to have confidence, or if they need me to sound very monotone, like, hello, sharks. Have you ever noticed that you can't leave your house without carrying so many things? You know, the people that speak because they're so nervous to be on television. I could do that delivery if they needed.
Yeah, well, I don't like that show. But you watch it enough that I've seen a lot of these episodes now.
Uh-huh.
And I haven't seen one person go on there and sound natural or charismatic. Everyone sounds forced, rehearsed, terrified. There's like
desperate.
There's
Yes,
all sorts of you just run the gamut of negative sales pitches that are on there. And none of them are like, look, guys, I know what I'm doing here.
Yes.
I've turned this losing proposition into a winning business. You're going to be lucky enough to get in on this. This is the product.
Yeah, quiet confidence. Because if they do talk too knowledgeable or confident, then they sound slick, like they're hawking a ShamWow or something. And Mark Cuban's immediately out. He's like, what you do is not good for the planet. I'm out.
Yeah, how come none of these people hire somebody like the
me.
ShamWow guy?
Or me.
Or
Vince
you,
is busy. Yes. Call me. I'll do it.
I know. Like,
I want to be in front of them. Imagine me coming back 5 different times. Hey, again.
It's me again. I'm the face. This week, I'm the face of this product.
Yeah.
And trust me, it wouldn't be that expensive. Like if you're going into like this product that I don't need 3% of their business for me to go on there for them. It's like, look, give me $1,000 flat fee rate.
Give me
I'll pitch this.
Yeah, let me have some of that sample that's in front of you and I'll be good to go.
Do I get to eat the edible candle? I'll eat the edible candle and I'm good.
Can I keep that fruit basket in the green room? Then you've got yourself a deal. I wonder how many times one could appear on that show pitching for someone else and be recognized. They're probably prompted by the producers.
On television and reality shows, they were prompted by the producers?
The bad part is they always want the business owner's life story. So then I'd really be like grasping for straws.
As long as they gave it to you ahead of time.
They're like, aren't you a single mother of 3? I'm like, no.
No, you misunderstood. I said the owner is a single mother of 3. The person that came up with this idea
had a really sad story.
Yeah.
You're going to love it.
You're going to love this story. Yeah. Yeah, it's not me, but boy. And I've never met that person, but the check cleared, so I'm fine with it.
Thanks for joining us today. If you had a great time, let us know on social. Follow Kid is in School on Twitter and The Kid is in School on Instagram. Subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. Be sure to throw us one of those 5-star ratings and share with your friends. Oh, and do it quickly before the kid gets home.